Hello and welcome back to the Reaper. So we thought we'd do a review of an aircraft, in this case the Harrier, as it's the newest plane, and then we will do following group reviews when new planes come out, like the Hornet and the Tomcat, etc. So we're going to split this into some categories and go through how we found the Harrier. We've been flying it for a couple of weeks now, and we've got quite a lot of hours. I don't have one myself, but the guys do, and some of them have turned up, and so let's see what they think of it. So first of all, with regards to CAS, so basically ground attack, any comments from anyone on the Harrier?
CCIP in the Harrier is absolutely fantastic, probably one of the only effective ways of bombing. CCRP is good only for laser guided bombs or GPS guided bombs when they put them in, due to the fact that you can't, unless you're in a dive, you have to be extremely accurate with your pipper. Well, you didn't say accurate with the pipper, you need to be accurate with your flight, and you can't deviate left or right much at all, because if you're unstable when you drop the bomb, a slight twitch will miss. But CCIP, best way to bomb by a country mile.
Roger. And what about the using the guided missiles like the Mavericks? How is that in comparison to, say, an A-10 or something?
Maverick is good. Obviously, with both the A-10, you can slave it to your TGP, but obviously in the Harrier, you can slave it to your DMT, your dual mode tracker, in the nose. Absolutely fine, no problems at all. It's just you have to go through a few more steps to get the Mavericks to work, such as obviously they've got to be warmed up, uncaged, then you've got to slew them around and select them. So it's a little bit more, a few steps, but it's no different to the A-10.
Roger.
I got a question.
Go.
What's the issue with the sidearm chasing aircraft?
I think that was just a bug in the fact that a jet had their radar on, and the sidearm, for some reason, was homing onto that radar energy onto it that was being an aircraft.
But it's not really. It's not really a bug, then, is it? I mean, wouldn't a real one do that? It would change.
No, because it's tuned into a certain radar frequency. I think it was tracing the radar energy from one aircraft hitting another aircraft and lighting up that one.
But wasn't that aircraft a Harrier? Harrier doesn't have a radar?
Yeah. No, but I think it was another aircraft behind it that had its radar on, that was painting that aircraft. Obviously, as it gets its receive, and the sidearm was just locking onto that radar reflection.
Interesting, because it does DCS simulates radar pretty well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
all the
but it shouldn't have. I think it's just a bug.
Roger. Okay, so we'll ignore that. What are the rockets? I've heard a lot of bad things about the rockets from the Harrier. Has anyone got any comments on that?
Yes, the Zuni rockets, the big ones are great. The little ones at the moment just scatter everywhere.
And they're not very powerful. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
No, you got to take the 4-pod.
Yeah, the heavy ones are really accurate.
Roger, what's that, 5-inch? Something? Okay.
I think it's like the M7 or something like that.
Okay.
The gun's very good.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about the gun? What is it? What is the gun?
The gun is a
25 millimeter?
25 mil.
Yeah, it's good.
And what kind of... is it like the flanker? Is it accurate, or is it a scattergun like the F-15?
I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's like a laser beam. It's a very accurate weapon.
And do we know how many rounds it carries?
300, yeah.
It doesn't take that many to kill a target.
Yeah, it's an effective gun. Obviously, it's heavier hitting than the 20 mil. Obviously,
you do have to get it close.
Yeah, you have to get within reasonable range, but it's like a laser. It will fire where you're aiming. In dogfighting, it's a bit more interesting because you don't have radar-assisted guns like you do in the F-15 or the Su-27 or the Mirage. But if you get it going,
how do you
it just comes out like
so you have to compensate for dip yourself then?
Yes, you do. It has bore sight, and I can't remember the other sight it has. Yeah, like a CCIP is for ground attack, but for air-to-air, it's got bore sight and something else. But it's a bit finicky, kind of getting close range and just layer kind of a little laser beam up and down the aircraft.
Okay.
It's a GAL 12.
It's got a high rate of fire, though.
Yeah, you've got to be disciplined with fire. You hold down the trigger too long on that for a couple of engagements, and you'll maybe get 3 or 4 bursts off if you're being heavy-handed.
Cool. Gun, that's all of the CAS weapons talked about, isn't it? But the rockets, Maverick and bomb. So if we had to give it a rating out of 10, and whereas I guess the A10 would be somewhere near a 10, where would we rate the Harrier for CAS?
CAS so far, I'd probably rate it as 7 at the moment. It's a good aircraft, has its flaws, but I think once the full weapon suite has been released, when you get the laser guided Mavericks and that sort of stuff, it would probably be bumped up to around 8.5, 9.
So is it worth $70?
That comes later. Later, Elo. Right, now for Cap, air-to-air. It's obviously not an air-to-air fighter, but we like to use things where they're not designed to be used because that's where we have fun. And we actually found it was pretty sweet. We put it up against some Vigans, and we were expecting it to be more or less even, because although the Harrier has the better missiles, the AIM-9 Mikes, the Vigan was, it's a lot faster. I would have thought it more or less even, but the Harriers absolutely took the Vigans to pieces. They were locking on really easily. Well, not radar lock, but infrared tone. Any comments on the capabilities of the aircraft? So there's guns, maneuverability, and missiles.
I think the Harrier is really good at sneaking into engagements, getting in below radar, and then popping up on targets. It's. I noticed flying on the other side, it's harder to see Harriers than it is to see anything else.
I wonder why.
It's basically just a tiny little barrel with wings.
Yeah, it's a real small aircraft to spot from a distance.
Getting low, it's great, but the moment you start getting higher up, it leaves a massive smoke trail behind it.
Yeah, it's like looking at an F4 and shit, like that plume behind it.
Yeah, it's got a very low ceiling too.
Yeah, it's a great aircraft, especially Viffing. Viffing is a fantastic way to get for a split second, get a very sharp increased turn rate, and just to get that kind of snapshot that you need to get on the target, say, to launch a Sidewinder. And when SEAM, the Sidewinder expanded acquisition mode, comes in, you'll get a lot more. You'll be able to get a lot better capability to get the Sidewinder in that rotating seek head circle and get a snapshot. But obviously, you lose a lot of speed.
Roger. What about? I also noticed we did some tests with it on acceleration compared to like the F5, and it at the lower speeds, i.e., where drag is less of a thing, its acceleration was pretty exceptional. It's obviously got a high thrust to weight ratio, but it's more than that. It really just it can accelerate pretty fast. So that's pretty cool as well. And I've heard it has a low IR signature as well. Whether that's realistic?
Yeah, looking top down, if DCS models it correctly, looking top down, because obviously the hotter nozzles are the rear ones, and obviously the front is just the compressor air coming out, which is still quite warm. But the heat signature, especially if the flaps are starting to droop, a lot of the heat signature is masked by the wing itself. Obviously, you get the residual coming out the back, but the very concentrated nozzles, if the flaps are extending slightly, it should mask the IR signature from the top down anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to attack it is from underneath and behind?
Yep, so where you get a good heat lock on the nozzles themselves.
Roger that.
Because the jet pipe temp, and then you're looking at over 500 degrees coming out of the back end, so it's hot enough that any missile will have an easy game locking on, so you want to be getting, in any engagement, you want to be getting on the back of them.
Okay.
Roger.
Anything else on Cap before we give it a score on air-to-air?
It's really fucking good.
Okay, justify that. Justify that.
It's
alright, so I did 1v1s versus Fortinero for like 2 hours yesterday, or a couple days ago. Usually Fortinero beats me more than I beat him, and he was taking the MiG-21, and I beat him, I think it was like 25 times. He got like 2 kills.
Is it due to the missiles, I'm guessing?
No, I think it's due to a couple of things. I think a really big thing is the visibility. The visibility in it is absolutely amazing. So we would, because every single merge, what we do is we would merge, we would fly right past each other, and then we would merge, and we say fights on. But in that situation, the Harrier just is going to win every single time, because the MiG-21 loses the visual of you as soon as he passes you. Whereas in the Harrier, I literally turned back, and as long as I didn't lose sight of him, I never lost. The two I lost, one I lost because I was I wanted to see how I could fight in the vertical, and it's not great. And the other one was I just lost sight of him. But
lose
in
sight,
just a
lose
straight
sight.
turn,
So,
every single time I won because it could just turn tighter than the I haven't done much
Were you
against the
using
F5
your
yet.
nozzles?
No. I didn't. Well,
No perfect.
not always. Usually, I don't use nozzles unless someone's on my 6. Like in that one naval cat mission we did, when Blood Knock was right on my 6, I went to like 40 degrees on my nozzles, and he kind of flew right past me, which was pretty cool. But usually, I just keep him straight and just mess with the power.
I guess another thing you could say is that as soon as MiG-21 is forced to slow down in a dogfight, it sucks. But the Harrier can operate pretty much at any speed, can't it, and keep flying?
Yeah, well, in a dogfight, not so much, but yeah, the transition from wingborne to jetborne flight is just an advantage. It's got such a good low speed advantage. The moment you start rotating the nozzles down, you just compensate for the lift loss with the wing.
And
Raptor, was that you that Blood Knock was shooting at?
Yeah, that was me.
5 missiles at you.
Yeah, he kept missing.
Yeah, and he held that 6-1 until for the right time. We got you.
Well, that's the other thing. Is that I never got shot down in that.
You didn't? Did he get you with the last one?
No, I evaded it, and then he managed to run away because I couldn't kill him. That's the only other thing is that against like the MiG-21 and the Viggen, the only advantage they have is basically their speed.
They can just burn away.
Burner, they can just burn away. Yep. I'm pretty sure the F5 can get away as well. But other than that, like if you're within visual range turn fighting, Harrier is going to win.
Okay,
guys, you guys have a good fight. I got to go take a nap.
See you later, Rolo. Yeah.
All right. Tomorrow you flying, Cap? We flying tomorrow? Or you going armor?
She's guns tomorrow, so I'll see you after New Year.
Okay, copy that.
All right,
you guys have a good flight. Good day.
Because a lot of people, especially on the internet, have been saying how crap it would have been air-to-air, but we seem to be finding out the other way.
Falklands conflict is a fantastic air-to-air aircraft. Obviously, they practice dogfighting with the American Aggressor Squadron that's based at Alconbury, and they hone their techniques. But you play the Harrier right, and it's beat the Mirage 3s, and obviously the Picaras. That stuff was a light prop aircraft, but it beat the fast jets of the French. The RG, sorry.
Okay.
Like, the Harrier can hold its own even against like F-15s and like Su-27s.
You play in the right situation, it's very formidable.
It's possible to win. If you're a better pilot than the guy in the other jet, it's possible to win because it's especially if they're dumb and don't know how to use. Like if they try and
the Harrier shouldn't win against an F-15.
It shouldn't.
Yeah,
but you play in the right situations and you get the F-15 into your terms. You can give it a very good run for its money.
Yeah, I think that's a stretch though because a P-51 in the right situation could shoot down a F-15.
Yeah, but the Harrier can actually do it like probably more than once in a blue moon. Like it's really, really good. It's I'm honestly surprised by how good it is, especially if you take like just the sidewinders and like maybe 50% fuel. That thing could turn. It's insane.
Cool. All right. Any other comments on its air-to-air ability? Anyone got any other stories? Then we have to rate it out of 10. Now, because it's a close-up fighter only, it hasn't got a radar and whatnot, the max we can score it is 5. So are you happy to give it 5 out of 10?
Yeah, well, I'd say
okay,
5
so
out of 10 is well suited.
Roger, so for what it can do, i.e. close-range Fox 2, it's about as good as you can get, so we're happy with that. And manoeuvrability. On to seed. Now, we've been doing a lot of seed work with the Harriers because we've all been interested how it could do. So it's got the sidearm missiles, which have a range of 5-ish miles, although
5 to 7 miles. I think.
I was going to say we've logged them nearly 10 before it reached its target at about 60 knots. It was amazing, I'm still undecided myself about its seed ability because we've been struggling to take down those Rolands, which have roughly about the same range. I don't know. Any comments on its seed ability overall?
Well, the sidearm was obviously originally designed for a defensive weapon, not to go into the aggressor role of pushing to fire. Obviously, the sidearm itself will get a lock, and then it's up to the pilot to launch the missile when it's within range. I'd say it's more designed for dead. It's more designed for the destruction. If you're in close range and suddenly a mobile SAM site's popped up, is to spin around and whap a quick missile off. But I wouldn't say unlike the F-18, when that comes in, it's harm missiles, that sort of stuff. It's designed for a full seed because you can launch that from range and then get out.
I think it's more of how it's being utilized. The Weasel is a 2-ship operation, so I think it's how you're deploying it. I don't think they're modeling the sidearm properly.
They said it still needs to be tuned. It's not the finalised version of what the sidearm should and can do. It is still a work in progress.
I think it's more like a suppression.
From what I've seen, I don't think the Harrier is exceptional at anything other than the fact that it can VTOL.
It's a great all-rounder.
It can do it all, but it's not a pro at anything.
Yeah, I'd say it's not that great at seed. I think people are relying on the sidearms way too much, and then you go to get a lock, and it just doesn't get a lock until the missiles are in the air.
When the Hornet comes in, that will be a full seed aircraft for the amount of anti-radiation missile variety it can carry.
I mean, I will say this: I think the Hornet is pretty good at seed. It's fun if you know where the target is. It's good because you can just use Mavericks. You can find the target with your DMT. You can lock it up. You know exactly how far away you are. You can immediately snap back to the target with the Mavericks, which is really nice. But it's not anything exceptional.
The Hornet?
With the Harrier, sorry.
Oh, okay,
right.
With the inability to pre-designate the target for the sidearms, it's like Ricard says, it's more of a reactionary
weapon,
backup type role rather than an actual seed.
So we've been throwing it in as the main seed guy, haven't we? I've been not using the Frogs, I've been using the Harriers as the seed, and that sounds like that's where we're going wrong. It's not really designed for that, to be a full seed.
It's designed so you've got intel that a pop-up SAM site is coming within 15 miles of where you are. There's a pop-up SAM site coming in, then you react to that. But obviously the Su-25 is designed for the full seed, long range, like the Rodens. Got to launch a long-range missile, get out.
Another issue is that the Harrier does only have one engine, so if you get shot and you're unlucky, you're dead right there. Whereas even if you were using something like an A-10, you might be able to go in and launch 2 or 3 Mavericks and maybe take a missile, but you're still flying.
That's the next section. So seed, we have to give it a rating out of 10, where right at the top is an Su-25, which can kill stuff the other side of the globe. We're going to give it a 5, or what do you guys think?
Like a 2 or a 3, because 1 would be not capable of seed. Okay. This thing barely accomplishes it.
I wouldn't say that. I think it's a little hard.
I've done seed with other people and haven't had a problem. It's the deployment of it, and going ahead and then waiting for the missile to lock you up to shoot it down is not the way to do the Wild Weasel. And that's where the limitations are. If it's done right, the aircraft will perform a little bit better. It's not an aircraft that's a full-on go and evade missiles aircraft. It's got to come in from cover to fire.
I mean, it's
not an aggressive one.
It's kind of hard to rate it out of 10 because right now, basically, the only other thing that you can really do seed with is the Su-25, which makes it a 10, and then I guess Mavericks, which would make it.
I'd argue that non-seed weaponry from ground attack planes are more effective than the seed weaponry of the Harrier.
Yeah, that's true. Mavericks will pretty much always be better.
All right. So rating-wise, I'd give it a 2, maybe if employed correctly in the right situation, a 3.
Okay, we'll give it a 3.
I would give it like a 5. If a Su-25 is a 10, I'd say right now A-10 is like a 7 because it can carry more Mavericks. But the Harrier can still carry 2 sidearms and 4 Mavericks. That's not terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're taking 4 sidearms,
of course.
I'd rather have 4 Mavericks. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go in between there and give it a 4. That's as good as we can get. Next, general flight. So this is flying in formation, general gas consumption, survivability when hit, just general flying. We had a note there about survivability. Obviously, one hit and in the engine, then you're going down, obviously. So that's obviously a problem.
One hit in the engine is a massive issue. I mean, when we first tried off the Harrier with the mass PvP with Fort's mission, you're flying around, you're in a dogfight, and suddenly you don't hear an explosion, you hear kind of a dull thud. You think, maybe just dodged a missile, exploded behind me, and then you're in a turn, throttles at max, and nothing happens. You're just losing power, and you fall out of the sky, and that is one massive issue. You lose that engine, you're banging out. You're pulling the black and yellow to get out of there because there's no way an aircraft. The engine is its main thing. The wing is not large enough to create enough lift to be able to glide the aircraft substantially and make a good landing out of it.
Yeah. Plus, in the Harrier, when your engine hits 0, you lose all power. Like the controls just lock up and you fucking crash.
But formation-wise, good aircraft needs to be trimmed a lot because obviously it's not full fly-by-wire fidelity. It needs to be trimmed a lot. Depending, obviously, asymmetrical loads as well is one massive thing. The aircraft does not handle asymmetrical loads well at all.
Roger. What about?
Aside from that, it's a nimble aircraft.
What about efficiency, range, gas consumption, that side of things compared to other
range? Get a tank, obviously, you get a hell of a much range. But it's a good aircraft for
it guzzles.
Yeah, I mean,
it does guzzle.
I'd say it's limited when it comes to range, unless you can air refuel, which is like 20% of people.
I mean, you have to gas. You can go pretty far. And again, it depends how long you're at full throttle and what also you want to do with it.
Has anybody else noticed that it seems like the gas consumption is the same until you get down to like 600 and something RPMs? It seems like it just takes the same amount of gas.
Gas consumption drops a bit. You can see the fuel flow.
Yeah, you can track
you can see the pounds per minute in the fuel display.
It's got a little FF number.
The heavier you are, the more fuel it burns.
Yeah, but you can't fly at full throttle. You want to be flying at like 80%, 75, 80%. You're not going to be flying at 400 knots in a ferry flight. You're going to be flying like 350.
Roger that,
350 knots because you want the range. 4 tanks is doable, but ideally it's normally 2 tanks, and its ferry range is it's a decent. It's got a decent range if you fly it properly. And obviously,
I really enjoy flying the Harrier, honestly. I think it's just a really fun plane to fly. And it handles really well at higher speeds. You have to really try to break it, honestly.
Well, you say that, but so many people crash on VTOL, but we'll cover that in a minute. What about payload? Its payload, for me, seems pretty shit. I mean, it seems MiG-21 payload. Which
can carry a lot of laser-guided bombs, regular bombs.
As a mission planner, I can have an A-10 carry 12 to 20 weapons, or the Harrier can carry 6 when you have multiple bombs, something like that, maybe.
You can carry like 16, 14 bombs.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's obviously the A-10, you fit it out with unrealistic loadouts, but it's DCS, you can do what you want with it. But even the Harrier, triple ejector racks.
Yeah, and you can take off at least 3,000 pounds overweight. I've done it.
Like, for me,
no problem.
I would rather have my Harrier with like 4 Mavericks, and I would rather take off, fly to my target at 500 knots, get there, launch my 4 Mavericks, maybe launch a sidearm, RTB to a FARP, rearm, and take off, launch 4 more Mavericks, rather than do all that in an A-10 with 6 or 7 Mavericks, or 8 Mavericks, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm flying there at 250 knots or 300 knots. Like, that's not as fun to me personally.
Roger.
But
so that's like
it really is a personal preference thing. Like, if you don't mind just sitting there for 15, 30 minutes flying to your target, then the A-10 will pretty much always do a better job.
It's not designed for a high loiter time over the target like the A-10.
Yeah. But that is why the Harrier exists, basically. Is the point of it is to launch from places that the A-10 can't launch from to get to places.
Okay.
We're coming can also carry 6 GBU 16s, which are bigger than the A-10's 12s.
That is true.
With extra GBU 12s on the wings as well.
A big part of this as well is that the T-Pod isn't fully implemented yet, and there's a lot of little things that are still kind of not working.
We're reviewing it as it stands, though, after 2 weeks.
Yeah, as it stands. I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoy flying it around.
For general flights, that's everything we've been talking about. Then that's the survivability, the single engine. That's the cruise range. It's everything we've spoken to in the last 5 minutes. We've got to rate it out of 10 for viewers. All its good things and bad things for general flight. Throw some numbers at me, and I'll just go in the middle.
For everything combined?
For everything in general flight, so that's basically the survivability of one engine, that's bad. The gas consumption, we decided is kind of average. The payload is average to good. So I think there's that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
And a bit of.
I'd say average.
We found
to good.
it needs lots of trimming, which is bad. However, once you've trimmed it, is good. So that's so what I'm feeling kind of 7 out of 10 for general flight.
Yeah, I'm feeling 7, 6, 6.5 ish.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say
69.
7.5 easily. Yeah.
Like I would rate it like a 10 for just fun for flying it, because it's
overall,
my favorite jet to fly
6.
right now.
Okay.
But
overall, when you factor everything in, I think it's a strong 7 or 7.5. I really think it's not a fun factor.
I'd say a strong 6. It's asymmetrical loads is one key thing, especially in combat.
That is a good point.
That is one of the critical things. Obviously, in a Mirage, you trim it out, and it's absolutely fine. And when you pull high Gs, asymmetrical loads is no issue. So fly-by-wire compensates, but asymmetrical loads in a Harrier, you drop bombs in pairs because the weight difference makes such a difference. It's such a high wing loading, and such a small jet. It makes a massive difference.
Roger.
For me, being my second aircraft overall, besides the 25, I would buy it. Get it as my as the first
coming later, I think.
My other one was an A10, so I'm kind of partial to the 10.
Yeah, that's something you got to factor into the score too. It's an easy aircraft to pick up with no experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd rate it a strong 6.
Okay. Well, I've heard from 6.
6 seems fair.
I've heard from 6.
6 or 7.
I've heard from
I'd say
6.
so.
I've had 6 up to 10. I've heard. So I'm guessing 7. Anyone major complaint with 7?
Yeah, 7's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.5, 7.
Okay, that's fine.
7 is good.
Next is the ability of non-conventional landing, so it's go anywhere ability, where a helicopter is obviously maximum because you can land a helicopter on anything basically, and obviously a normal plane like an F-15 is 0 because you have to have a massive runway for it with no, parachute or something. So have we had any complaints about I've seen lots of people crashing on vertical landing. What's that all about?
Because people are really bad at vertical landing.
Yeah, you have to.
People
You have to set the plane up properly to land, and that's the key to the Harrier. If you're not flying it and you don't configure it properly, if you have it configured properly and you're doing the steps that the manual is telling you to do, you can land it anywhere a helicopter lands.
Roger.
And you really need to make sure you're not overweight.
It's
really
absolutely amazing. Sure. But people are coming in with like full fuel and like full weapons loadouts and trying to vertical land, and they're going, "Oh, I'm just jumping out of the sky. What am I doing?" And I did this too for the first 2 days. But once you figure it out, it's so easy.
Yeah, you need to have like 30% fuel.
Yeah, if I take off and I think, I need to come back quickly, then it's a shorter runway. I don't particularly want to stall land. I want to vertically land it. You have to fuel dump. Weight is the most critical factor. Obviously, water will cope to some extent, but you've got limited water. Your turbines will start melting if it gets too hot. You have to dump fuel and get rid of all your stores just for weight.
That's why when the Marine Corps has to take off from the ship, they take off with 30% fuel and they go straight up to a tanker and they fill up in the air and then go on mission.
In case they have to come back.
Well, with full weapons loadouts,
so they can take
off with low fuel and max weapons.
Right.
That's the other thing is people are trying to do takeoffs in it with max fuel and max weapons, and that's just, you're not even going to get off.
Yeah, right. I've got to go cap. I'll catch you guys later.
All right, see you later. Right, so we've heard basically, as long as you know what you're doing, then it's pretty much go anywhere. So let's throw a figure. Now, it can't be a 10 because Huey is 10 because it can land anywhere with any loadout with no restrictions. Obviously, the Harrier can't do that. It can land more or less anywhere, but has to be in the right configuration. It can't do it with full weapons, etc. So throw a number at me about landability in hard.
I'd give it like an 8.
Because it can technically
for an experienced player. If you're an experienced player, it's like an 8. If you suck, it's going to be one of the hardest.
Yeah, as a moderate pilot, weight management, that was the hardest thing for me.
That's the number one thing. You just have to know how you need to, and you have to know how much it needs.
Take your time and watch your trim.
I don't think it's even that much. It's literally like, for me, I just set my bingo fuel to 2,000 pounds or 1,500 pounds, and when I come back in, on my way back, I just start dumping fuel, and it's.
I don't know. It's like I haven't actually flown the Harrier from here, and it's like trying to land a MiG-21 with a fuel pod and a bunch of bombs and a full full fuel load. It's almost impossible. You're gonna run off the end without your parachute. People in the Harrier, if they're overloading and that thing's meant for VTOL, they fuck up. That's just what it is.
Well, you gotta think
like
military
in a vertical setting.
Part of it is
it's the loading that messes people up the most. They load it up, they take off, they fly around. If they don't drop all their ordnance, or they've still got full fuel loads, when they go into VTOL, they find that they're dropping out the sky, and they're just like, "Why am I dropping out the sky?" It's because you suddenly become heavy because you've got no forward momentum.
You're not dropping fuel. See, militaries aren't wasting and expending ordnance like how we do, so they're not jettisoning stuff right before they land, and you guys have to factor that in. What they're doing is they can lose the fuel, but they're not going to lose $200,000 bomb.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, guys, thank you for that. We've rated it there. We're nearly done. The next is cockpit, which I always think, and in with this comes visibility. So, for instance, a 0 out of 10 would be something with tiny dials that you can't read and tiny window that you can't see out of, like a BF-109 or something.
MiG-21.
A 10 would be and a 10 would be like a glider where you've got your all window and really easy to read gauges. So talk about the cockpit. I don't know anything about it, so you guys give me your experience compared to other planes.
Cockpit's a
modern.
Ooh.
It's a good 8. It's a good 7-8. It's got high visibility all around.
It's 8-9, yeah.
It's
visibility is
a bubble cockpit.
Are we talking about like the controls?
That as well, So as well as visibility, layout of the cockpit. How big are the gauges? Are the gauges easy to use?
I think the screen should be just a little bit wider.
Yeah, maybe that.
So,
but like the engine management, the engine management and stuff, all that is digital and very easy to read, easy to understand. It's good.
It displays the RWR on the hood now, which I think is really good.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff's going to get moved over. It can so it can replay its MDFs onto the HUD as well.
This model too also has colored HSDs, so hopefully they'll bring that over.
My biggest issue with the Harrier cockpit is honestly just the nozzle lever, because my throttle only it's like a little lever. I don't have like a thrust master or anything like that. So for me, in order to lever the nozzles, I'm literally using 2 buttons on my stick. So it really makes it difficult for me to do precise nozzle controls. So I'm swinging 15, 20 degrees every time I press one of those buttons, which is a quick little nozzle press. That's probably my biggest complaint. And the only other one would be the RWR. I kind of wish it had a separate RWR, because sometimes I'd rather have my stores page up and like my DMT up or something.
You need an
but it is on the HUD, which is nice.
You need an also. It's going to be hard.
Well, yeah. Well, I can't, because I literally don't have the fucking. I don't
slider or anything.
Yeah, I don't have a slider. I don't have anything. It's
all right,
really annoying.
Guys, we're getting off topic now, guys. So let's throw numbers at me. 1 to 10. How good is the cockpit?
8.
It's an 8.
That was easy.
9.
Ooh.
Yeah, 8.
Okay.
8.5.
In a dogfight, that thing's amazing.
8.5.
Yeah.
8.5.
Yeah, I give it 8.5.
Okay, guys.
We're bringing in like starting up and all that too.
Starting up's very easy.
Probably.
Well, that's procedural.
Well, let's just
We're talking about visibility.
Let's just carry on.
Start it up.
Let's carry on, guys. The next I've got, I don't know how relevant this is. We've got sensors. Anything to say about that? I don't even know what sensors it's got. It's got an RWR, obviously.
The lightning pod is broken. Like, you can't laser anything for it, I don't think.
Right
now, it's not great.
Not currently, yeah.
So there's problems with the sensors at the moment, and bearing in mind that this is as it stands at the moment, so we're not happy with the sensors. Anything else to say on that?
Like I said,
the sensors are good. It's just the lightning pod, in my opinion.
Have we used it with the A10 designating?
Like laser designating?
Not in the mission.
Yeah.
Not in a mission, but I've used it a little bit as well.
Yeah, same.
Like I said, the RWR is not great, and there's no IR missile launch system like in the A10.
Warning.
Has anybody tried the LST out yet?
Yeah, there's no IR warning.
Yeah, it doesn't work yet.
Roger. So hit me with some figures. 1 out of 10, guys. I haven't got a clue about that.
6.
Yeah, 6.
6?
Apparently.
Okay, you guys are the boss. Right, that's technically the end, but are there any other subjects you want to cover? Because this is the first time we're doing this, obviously. Anything we've done: CAS, CAP, SEED, general flight, non-conventional landing, cockpit and sensors. Anything else you can think of that we haven't covered?
Multi-role modules in DCS are always going to be a winner if you don't have many modules, because you can do a bit of everything.
And Roger, so I guess that'll be under kind of general. Okay, anything else, guys?
I like how many liveries it comes with. Libraries.
Oh yeah, liveries.
20 liveries.
Hang on.
Liveries?
The only thing I don't like about that is all marine.
They're all
camos,
they're all
no
the same.
RAF ones.
They're all the same. They're grey, and one of them's got a fucking badge on that thing.
All the
they're similar, but there's a lot of variety.
all the writing changes, all the symbols,
icons and stuff.
the paint
it's just sort of a little thing. But like, if you look at like the Viggen has 2 camos. I mean, to be fair, it only had like 2 camos in real life, but that's just sort of a little thing that I really like.
The Harrier has like
loads of camos from different countries, so they should do that with the Harrier, I think.
Well, to be fair, only the Marine Corps, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, other countries have different versions of the Harrier, so I think they should bring the liveries
of British.
That would be nice. That would be fictional liveries.
There's a ton of countries that use the Harrier.
Not being
right, but not that version
or anything.
Right, guys, they've got the final score. I've just been doing it on the calculator. This is as the Grim Reapers have scored the AV-8B Harrier after roughly about 2 weeks of flying it every day, and this has come from our main guys, our main daily flyers. They have scored CAS 7 out of 10, CAP 5 out of 10, SEED 4 out of 10, General Flight 7 out of 10, Non-Conventional Landability 8 out of 10, Cockpit, Visibility 8.5 out of 10, and Sensors 6 out of 10. So that is a total of 45.5 out of 70, or 65% out of 100%. That's what we rate the Harrier. Final question, guys. Is it worth $70?
At the moment, no, because I think it's very
worth like I'd say it's worth like 45 or 50 max right now.
In the future, when it's like got all its finishing touches, definitely.
Roger.
But right now, no.
So we think it's worth coincidentally about 65% of the asking price, which is exactly how we rated it. So we obviously, if we're doing it right, obviously. What did you going to say, Raptor?
Well, like, I got it for $50, and I think that was great.
Same.
I wouldn't have been upset if I spent $60 on it. $70 is a lot of money, though.
Yeah, it's too much.
They're bringing all the modules up to that now, some of the old ones as well.
Yeah, for a work in progress, like a sale going on. Like for $70, you get Flaming Coast 3, and you could get like the A10C.
Roger. At full price.
Yeah, someone pointed out it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, but we've got to rate it as we have our hands on it at the time.
No. I'm saying like to charge $70 for a work in progress is hefty. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Roger.
I mean, I guess it's going to help with all like the research and everything and making it better.
Roger.
Oh, I get that.
Any closing thoughts, guys?
Well, you could use your bonus points on the store, right, towards it. I'd say if you have bonus points on the ED store and you can get it below $60, I think it's worth at least $60 right now.
They only let you use a certain amount of your bonus points, though.
It's not worth $70.
No, it's not. Not currently.
Cool.
For a new pilot, no, not worth 70.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for your experience. I wouldn't know what to do without you. I'll put together a video, hopefully the viewers, that's helpful to you, and we'll do all of the new aircraft that came out from now on. We've got to go and do a mission now, so we'll see you later.